Hi, everyone. I'm Ben Gonzalez, and this is TDI. Today, we're going to be talking about wildfires in Texas and what you can do to help prevent a wildfire from becoming a house fire. And joining us is Karen Stafford from the Texas A&M Forest Service. Hi, Karen. How are you doing today?
Hi, doing well, thank you.
Awesome. Well, let's talk about wildfires. How often does that occur in Texas? What would we consider a wildfire?
Um, so describing a wildfire is going to be any fire that gets out of control. Necessary for wildfire, for firefighter, excuse me. A wildfire would be anything that's necessary for firefighters to respond to help control. Then you asked about how often fires start in Texas. So Texas is a bit unique in that with our topography and our vegetation, our weather patterns, we can really have wildfires at any time in Texas, any time of year that is.
So there's not a wildfire season in Texas?
There are certain times of year that definitely have more wildfires than others. For instance, in the summer months, definitely when it's hot and dry, we start going into that typical drought pattern for the summer. We'll see an increase in our fires. Also during the winter months, a lot of people don't expect us to have wildfires during the winter months in Texas. But as we start seeing those windy front patterns come through West Texas, the Panhandle, northern parts of Texas, and then when you add in the frost-cured grasses, then that lends itself to another fire season.
So they dry out the fuel out there.
Yes.
So if there's not a particular season, we're doing this right now because it is National Wildfire Awareness Month, but we wanted to give people some things that they could do around their own homes. Is this an issue mostly for rural areas, or do we see this in cities as well?
In Texas, what we've seen typically is that our wildfires can occur within 2 miles of a community. So even if it starts in a more rural area, it definitely has the potential to move into those developed areas. We've definitely had some towns and cities impacted by wildfires in Texas.
So it can be a threat for pretty much anyone then?
Yes, anyone.
Is there anything that homeowners can do to reduce their risk?
Yes, absolutely. One of our main programs that we like to encourage in communities with homeowners and fire departments, as well as our Ready, Set, Go program. So that's a 3-step program. So Ready being anything that homeowners can do around their homes now, long before the fire season comes. That would be things like creating defensible space. And so that would be creating that safe area around your home where your home can be safe from wildfires, but also provide a safe environment for firefighters to work around your home if they had to respond. They can also start putting together their emergency kits if they ever are faced with an evacuation. Now's the time to start thinking about what you would want to take with you during an evacuation. And then also just knowing where your escape routes would be. Start identifying those kinds of things now. And then any other kind of fire safe practices that they want to do around their home, general landscaping, cleaning up yard debris, cleaning off roofs and things like that. And then the set phase would be if there are other wildfires in the area or we're getting into a fire season, what are some things that homeowners would need to do during that time as well? Things like if you're being directly impacted by fires in your community, you may want to go turn off your propane tanks, turn off the gas to your homes, back your cars into your driveway just to make it easier if you need to evacuate and escape your home. Leaving the lights on in your home for firefighters to be able to find your home. You're going to be in very, very smoky conditions, so leaving your porch light on is a good indicator for a firefighter to be able to find your home. And then just, dressing in appropriate clothing, and all cotton clothing, having a bandana with you to cover your face, just if there's smoke and other embers flying through the air, you would want to be safe as well. And then the go represents the evacuation phase of knowing where to go, being prepared, leaving early, and don't waiting to be told when to leave. Go ahead and get out.
Boy, a lot of this stuff sounds very familiar to me. It sounds like some of the same advice we give for the coastal area during hurricane season.
Absolutely.
Be prepared.
Yeah, a lot of these. Yeah.
You just want to have your go kit and think about your escape routes.
Yep.
But I guess fire is a little different in that the speed of things can change probably faster than a hurricane changes.
Yeah. Well, even I guess, making the comparison to hurricanes, hurricanes, we track them, we watch the weather, and we kind of know about when they're going to make landfall. That is similar to some wildfires. We do watch the weather conditions very closely. We monitor our fuel dryness, like in our grasses and our trees and things like that. We monitor winds. So we try to find when the weather patterns are going to be conducive for wildfires. That way we can prepare ourselves as firefighters, and we can stage our resources. But that way also we can get the messages out to the communities and out to the homeowners of, hey, be prepared. You could be impacted by a fire during this time frame. So there are some similarities. But then, like you said, it could change very quickly as well, because weather is an unpredictable source. So if we have changing winds and things like that, it can make it unpredictable.
Well, I guess the advice is difficult to prepare for. One of your colleagues told us that they can sneak into the
Yes.
most small hidden spaces. Is there anything we can do to fight the threat of embers traveling in?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, those embers can be pesky.
Tricky.
So what we tell people usually is the fire ember will land anywhere where dried leaves will gather. So if you think about your roofs and your gutters, the corners of your porches, around by your front door, sometimes there's a corner in there, up under our decks and porches. So those are all good areas to clean out. Especially this time of year, it's great to get up there, clean out those gutters, clean off your roofs, clean out from under your decks and porches. If you have any, your doormats, if you have any type of a flammable doormat, that could be an easy place for fire embers to land as well. And then thinking about the construction of your roof, attic vents, soffits up under the eaves of your roof. Those are good places for fire embers to get sucked up into the attic, and then you don't know that they're in there. So one easy thing to do about that is just to go in and screen in those types of vents and soffits with a small gauge wire mesh screening. That'll help prevent those embers.
Something small enough that it'll prevent things from flying in?
Yes, typically about a 1/8 inch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I cleaned out underneath the deck, it would be the first time. So I guess that's good advice to try to do that. Gutters
Yes,
probably too.
Good spring cleaning. Yeah.
But I do see where leaves do accumulate in different places around the yard and in the corners of by the door. The areas where you would usually be sweeping or blowing, that's a good place to think about. A fire could start there then.
Yes. Those are nice landing beds for the embers wherever your leaves tend to gather.
Hospitable places for fire, and it's where
Yes.
we're trying to prevent. So if you had to pick, one or two things that I could get started with this coming weekend, what would you recommend was the most important thing for homeowners to start with?
I would start with the roofs and the gutters. Those are easy, especially over the winter. They've accumulated a lot of dead, dry leaves. So that would be really easy, no cost for homeowners to do. Yep,
That's
I'd
the
start
first
at the
place.
top. Yep,
Yeah.
I'd start at the top of the roofs and the gutters and then work my way down, looking at anywhere around the base and the foundation of the home. Doing the same thing, cleaning out those dry leaves, cleaning away any kind of dead landscaping vegetation that's accumulated over the winter months, then just getting that out away from the home.
Excellent. So those are just kind of like the weekend type projects. But if I'm doing some building, what are some things to consider for larger projects?
Definitely the siding on the home. We recommend using some sort of a non-flammable siding, bricks, stucco, things like that. If you're going to rebuild porches, that's quite a large undertaking, but they do sell non-combustible decking materials that we would like to recommend as well.
Yeah, anytime there's a big project, that's the kind of thing that you need to think about at that time, because you won't have to go back and retrofit later.
Yes, absolutely. And also that'd be a great time if you have decks and porches that are elevated off the ground or has a nice opening where those leaves can get up under there and get trapped, to go ahead and take some sort of a non-flammable, maybe going back to that wire mesh and closing in the undersides of those decks and porches to prevent anything else from accumulating under there.
From getting underneath.
Yes.
A lot of times we see kind of some decorative kind of latticing, but maybe put something behind that, or?
Yeah, we recommend putting something behind there. The lattice is very attractive, but it's not really going to do much to prevent If a
The
fire
local
came around
leaves.
there, yeah, it's going to be too big of a hole to prevent a lot of leaves and sticks getting underneath there.
Excellent. Any other advice for people when they think about wildfires, things they might not think about?
Yeah, so right now we're in this unusual time of stay home and stay safe, where we're trying to bring awareness as well to our firefighter safety. So we don't want our firefighters to have unnecessary exposure while they're out having to respond to fires. So this is a great time to encourage everybody to do your part. Don't let a wildfire start. Wildfire prevention is key.
That's a good idea. We should touch on that very quickly. What is it that starts wildfires? What can I do to
Um,
stop them?
so a lot of our wildfires in Texas, they say 9 out of 10 fires are human caused. So therefore, those 9 out of 10 fires are preventable. Some of our greatest fire causes in Texas are debris burning. So that would be careless burning around the home, yard debris, things like that, burning feed sacks for some people. Those fires easily get out of hand if they're not being watched and contained. So that's one of our leading fires in Texas. Also equipment use. This is getting into the summer months where a lot of people are going to be baling hay. So we do have some hay balers sometimes will overheat. Sometimes bearings in trailers and other wheels on tractors will catch fire. So that has caused a lot of wildfires in Texas in the past. But we're also coming into the summer months and a lot of holidays. Memorial Day is coming up, and then 4th of July right behind it. A lot of people are going out and camping and boating, and so you have all these trailers attached to vehicles with dragging chains. So roadside starts are a major cause for wildfires in Texas as well.
So one little spark can get things going.
Absolutely, it just takes one small spark.
Excellent. Well, thanks for your time today, Karen. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
So if you have questions about wildfires and what you can do to make your home more fortified, just visit the Texas A&M Forest Service website. That's tfsweb.tamu.edu. And make sure you keep your insurance policies up to date. You're going to want to also have a home inventory. So hopefully you'll never need it, but you want to have that prepared ahead of time. And if you have questions about your homeowner's insurance, visit our website at tdi.texas.gov. And you can always call our helpline at 1-800-252-3439. For Karen Stafford, I'm Ben Gonzalez. This is TDI.